Welcome back, deep divers. Ready to dig into a topic that's everywhere you look these days? We're talking nostalgia marketing.
You know those ads that make you feel all warm and fuzzy inside, the ones that take you back?
Exactly. Ever find yourself grabbing a product off the shelf just because it reminded you of your childhood?
Or getting sucked into a reboot of a show you haven't thought about in years?
That's nostalgia marketing working its magic. And we're going deep on this one.
We've got a fascinating new research paper we're diving into today. Nostalgia Marketing, a systematic literature review and future directions.
This isn't just one study. These researchers looked at decades of research to see the big picture.
They wanted to understand how nostalgia marketing became such a force.
And it really is everywhere you look these days,
Yeah.
which is what makes this research so timely.
I mean, think about it. We're seeing everything from those rebooted TV shows
Oh, don't even get me started on the reboots.
to product launches that look like they came straight out of the 80s and 90s.
It's a nostalgia overload out there.
Yeah.
But why does this work so well?
To understand that, we need to understand where nostalgia itself comes from. Believe it or not, it all started with homesickness.
Wait, really? Homesickness?
Yeah. The word nostalgia was actually a medical term.
Get out.
It described this intense longing for home that Swiss mercenaries used to experience.
Swiss mercenaries, huh? There's a bit of trivia I didn't know I needed today.
Right. So over time, the meaning of nostalgia broadened. It became this general yearning for the past, for simpler times. But it wasn't until the mid-1990s that marketing researchers really started to pay attention.
1995. That feels like just yesterday, but also like a lifetime ago, especially when you think about how much the marketing world has changed.
Exactly. And it's not a coincidence that research on nostalgia marketing really took off in the past 5 years or so.
What changed?
Well, you've got the rise of the millennial consumer, a generation known for their love of all things retro.
Makes sense. We love our childhood memories.
And on top of that, you've got the uncertainty of the past few years. The pandemic really shook things up, and when people feel uncertain, they tend to seek comfort in the familiar.
It's true, when the world feels chaotic, sometimes you just want to curl up with a bowl of your favorite childhood cereal and watch reruns of your favorite show.
Exactly. And that's where nostalgia marketing comes in. It taps into that desire for comfort and connection to the past.
So we know nostalgia marketing is tapping into something powerful here, this human need for comfort and connection and all that good stuff. But, what's the psychology behind it all? Why does hearing a jingle from our childhood or seeing a brand we haven't thought about in years make us want to buy something?
Well, that's where it gets really interesting. There are actually several psychological theories that help explain why nostalgia marketing is so effective. One of the big ones is this thing called social identity theory. It basically suggests that we're hardwired to seek out things that reinforce our sense of belonging and identity. We're drawn to things that connect us with others who share similar experiences or values. Makes us feel like we're part of something bigger than ourselves, you know?
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So when a brand plays on our nostalgia, they're tapping into these group identities that we already hold dear, like our generation, our cultural background, maybe even just our shared love for a certain product or experience.
Exactly. Think about it. The resurgence of 90s fashion. Why is everyone so obsessed with it?
I'm wearing a scrunchie right now as we speak.
See? And it's not just about the clothes themselves, right? It's about what they represent. It's about the feelings and memories associated with that era. When we see someone rocking a vintage band t-shirt or those iconic sneakers, it's like a signal.
Like a secret handshake, you were there, I was there, we get it.
Exactly. Marketers have definitely picked up on that. But it's not just about individual memories, you know?
Right, we talked about that earlier, the collective nostalgia piece.
Right. This research paper really emphasizes that collective aspect. And one of the best examples of this is that ESPN documentary, The Last Dance, about Michael Jordan.
Oh man, that was everywhere when it came out.
It was more than just a show, though. It sparked this global wave of nostalgia for 90s basketball. People who weren't even alive during Jordan's time were caught up in the hype, you know, sharing memories and stories, arguing about the Bulls versus the Knicks.
I remember watching the final episode with my dad, who's a huge Bulls fan. We were both glued to the screen. It was like we were transported back in time.
And that's the crazy thing about collective nostalgia, right? It has this unique ability to bridge generations, even if we experience those moments through different lenses. And it creates this sense of unity, making whatever message is being conveyed even stronger. Marketers are definitely aware of this and often try to leverage these big cultural moments to create stronger bonds with their audience. But it's important to remember that nostalgia isn't some big, uniform thing.
Oh, you mean like how there are different types of nostalgia? I think I saw that in the research.
You got it. It's not as simple as we might think.
Different types of nostalgia. Okay, now you've got my attention. Tell me more. I'm ready to have my mind blown.
So the research actually breaks it down into 4 main types: restorative, reflective, anticipatory, and forestalgia. Each one taps into our emotions in a different way.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Let's start with restorative nostalgia. What's that all about?
Restorative nostalgia, it's about recreating the past, yearning for those good old days, those simpler times. It's like when brands bring back retro packaging or classic flavors.
Oh, like those limited edition snacks that come in packaging that looks just like it did when we were kids. I totally fall for that every time.
Exactly. They know what they're doing. It's about triggering a feeling, that sense of comfort, the familiarity. Now, reflective nostalgia, that's a bit different.
How so?
Well, it's less about recreating the past literally and more about evoking the feelings associated with it. Think about ads that use childhood imagery or music.
Oh, yeah. I know exactly what you mean. Those always get me right in the feels. It's like
yeah.
One little jingle from my childhood can transport me right back to being a kid.
It's powerful stuff, right? Marketers are tapping into those positive associations we have with those sounds and images. But are you ready for a real head scratcher?
Hit me.
Anticipatory nostalgia.
Anticipatory nostalgia. How can you be nostalgic for something that hasn't even happened yet?
It's that feeling of nostalgia for something you're currently experiencing, knowing it'll be over soon. Think about the feeling at the end of a vacation.
Oh, bittersweet. I get that.
Or a limited time offer. Marketers use it to create a sense of urgency, that fear of missing out.
So those limited time only campaigns, they're playing on our anticipatory nostalgia. Sneak. Okay, what about that last one you mentioned? Forestalgia. That one's like a whole other level.
Yeah, forestalgia, it's all about longing for an idealized future. Imagine tech companies promising us a utopia where technology solves all our problems, or those sustainability campaigns showing a restored planet.
So, not about the past at all, but a certain kind of longing for the future. Wild.
It's nostalgia, just pointed in a different direction. I think it's fascinating.
That is pretty wild when you think about it that way.
Yeah.
We've covered a lot of ground here, from the history of nostalgia to the psychology behind it, and even these different types of nostalgia, which I had no idea about. But what's the takeaway here? Where does all this nostalgia marketing go from here?
That's the million-dollar question, right? I mean, think about how nostalgia might play out in the metaverse, for example.
Oh, wow. Virtual reality experiences designed to evoke specific nostalgic feelings.
Exactly. This research paper really opens up some exciting avenues for the future. Who knows what brilliant nostalgic tricks marketers will come up with next?
I'm kind of scared to find out, to be honest. But also, I can't wait. This has been such a fascinating deep dive, and I know our listeners are going to have a lot to think about.
I hope so.
We've learned that nostalgia, it's more than just a fleeting feeling, right? It's this incredibly powerful force that shapes how we see the world, influences our choices, and most importantly, connects us to one another. Thanks to our expert for taking us on this trip down memory lane. Be sure to check out the research paper we talked about today, Nostalgia Marketing, a systematic literature review and future directions. You can find a link to it in our show notes. And until next time, keep those nostalgic memories close.